Ladies and gentlemen, it's the C3 podcast. That's right. It's the premier Carolina Panthers fan podcast out here. And there's nothing better than a Tuesday night with my best buddy, Joe Riolano, talking Carolina Panthers football. Joe, that freaking Puerto Rican, what's up, my man?
Oh, another day here in paradise, Charleston, South Carolina. Just got school started here. We actually started a week before you guys, from what I understand. And it's been kind of a hectic week. We're only 2 days into the school year, but they start off running. So we're catching up. And it is Tuesday night. It's your favorite night of the week, Panther Nation, the time Panther fans can let it all hang out. Let's remember to participate using the hashtag C3. And we do want to hear from you, Panther Nation. We do this for fans because we are fans. Get out there and get heard.
Word, bud. This week, Mel Mayock is on assignment. Joe, I assigned him to work a job that makes money so we can continue this nonprofit project where I get drunk on Tuesday nights and you deeply meditate.
Thank God for Mel.
Thank God for Mel. It's glad everyone can join the podcast, checking us out. You remember you can download it on iTunes, Stitcher. Give us a like there. It's the C3 podcast, episode 15.29. More questions or answers. We're going to talk about the Panthers' first preseason game versus Buffalo and try to kind of squeeze that lemon, see what we can get out of that performance. We'll be focusing specifically on whether this win raised more questions or answered them than it answered, should I say. We'll also look toward the Panthers' practice with the Dolphins and their upcoming match with Miami to better understand these joint activities and what they can reveal about this Carolina Panther team. Joe told you to get involved with the podcast. You can do that using the hashtag C3, but we also want to make sure that while you're around, you subscribe on YouTube, you check out CarolinaCatChronicles.com for all the latest Panther fan news. Whoa. Mel is saying, uh-oh. What does that mean?
Uh-oh.
Right in the middle of the podcast. Look, Joe, we can hear your notifications. Mel's taking shots, folks. Mel has sent us images of Joe. Yeah, Joe's phone is like on his microphone. Good Lord. I was like, but wonder what that is. No, it's not a shot. He's going whiskey sour, it looks like, maybe.
Good choice.
Okay. So, I'm glad Mel is in there. He's in the Country Music Fest. So we miss Mel, but like I said, you go out there and make that country jangle change for us, brother. Do it, because me and Joe, I'm getting drunk. And tonight we're going to first, Joe, I think it's time to open up the show with What's Hot.
Austria. Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Take a flamethrower to this place.
What's Hot on C3. Joe, it's football time. Yep, almost real football time.
Almost.
We saw an I don't know what to call it. Is it an exhibition game? I mean, I know we can call it the preseason, clearly, but is there a difference between an exhibition game and the preseason?
Only according to the NFL.
Really?
Yeah, because as far as I'm concerned, they're winning the same. Because they're playing exhibition style football. Very vanilla, very bland. And
so why is The NFL tries to clearly make that distinction that like they try to distance them from the word exhibition.
Yes, it's called preseason. It is not called exhibition. It's purpose. There is a purpose for that.
Wow.
So that way they can charge you more money that way too. Nobody wants to go see an exhibition game, but yes, I want to go see a preseason game.
It's I was hanging out with my buddy Clip Brock on Pirate Radio 1250 this past Friday, and he said, what's up with so many of these games? And he almost was to the point of like, just get rid of it entirely, but he would be happy to see it go to 2 games for the preseason.
Right. I think I would say probably most players would feel that way. I don't know about owners because, owners want a chance to make money. So having, the preseason games 2 at home gives you a chance to make a little bit of money before the season kicks off. Or if you go to a 2-game schedule, you're only having 1 game at home. So you're losing income there as a team owner.
Right. Yeah. And where you make that, I don't even, I think they should just make them free, dude. I say you let them open it up and let anybody come in. You know how much money they make on consent. I mean, obviously, we all know. I'm not talking about the markup. I'm just talking about the volume in sales when it comes to concessions and beer. So I must just say, pack that sucker down. Charge $20, $15. Come on in. The water is warm. You know what I'm saying? Interesting, but I think that would you like to see it go down to 2?
As a fan, yes, I would because the games, once the season really kicks off and they're playing for real games, every game is so important. Every game, every week, it's important. So I would like that just because we would get to the regular season faster.
Do you think
on a side note, I think if they are to do something like that, they have to increase the roster size. 53, it would have to go up maybe another 6 players, maybe 7, get to 60. You could carry 60 players as opposed to 53, just to make up for the time you don't have now to
evaluate
the talent. Yeah, exactly.
Would you, if you were going to cut it down to 2 games in the season, would the Buffalo game this past week be one of the games you cut out to the Panthers, or were you happy? All right, I want to transition now to the Buffalo game, I guess is my way of saying. I went into this match jazzed up, Joey. Okay. I'm talking jumping out of my skin, excited to see some Panthers football. And I got to say that the first quarter was sobering. The Panthers ultimately eked out a last-minute win over Buffalo, who appeared to be in the driver's seat for the vast majority of the game. Joe, what's your initial reaction to this Panthers performance? Is this one of those 2 that you would keep?
I would say yes. I thought for a first game coming out, from training camp, the Panthers did okay considering who we didn't have in the lineup. We did not have 2 main cogs on the defensive line.
3. Yeah, no Charles Johnson, no Star, no K1. Even though, and it took me a while to figure this out, I have a picture of the television. I took a picture of it because I want to make sure, Tony, I was at the ale house. I ordered a mystery bucket of beers for myself. I gave them all away, but that's how I was about to roll out at that game. But they said K1 Short started. I took a picture of it. I have a picture of it on my phone right now. He didn't play. So it was a little graphic error. He didn't even travel with the team. Right. But yeah, all right. So we're missing those 3 on the defense. Keep going.
The offense really looked out of sync on the first 2 drives. I don't know. Cam was off. but Kelvin Benjamin slipped on a route. It was just it was really pretty crappy, honestly, the first two drives. But on that third drive, you could see they were zoned in. Ted Ginn with a great catch right on the sideline, and then Cam was on the money. The running game didn't show up, which is good because it lets us know that Fozzie may not be, what we think. He may not be our number 2 guy because he was not impressive at all. The offensive line, I thought, was surprisingly well. I felt like they handled Buffalo pretty good, their first team pretty solidly. So yes, I would definitely.
There was no sacks.
No, exactly. And Cam, there was a couple of times where Cam was crowded in the backfield. He didn't get hit, and then there was 1 or 2 hits on him. But overall, I think the offensive line played well, and that's a pretty stout defense we were going against.
Right.
My biggest concern, really, coming out of this game was the second team, because that second team got run all over. The Bills ran for a total of 206 yards in that game, which, that's pretty surprising because we're supposed to be a pretty good run defending team. Albeit again, it wasn't against our first unit, but still, that brings into question, our depth. What type of depth do you have?
I'm totally with you on this. Is that this has been it's been a concerning element, for me for over 2 weeks. 2 weeks going on, I said that what would this preseason game test? I wrote a piece a week and a half ago saying that it would test our run defense minus Star and minus K1 Short. Because of these injuries, we were going to get to see how it could hold up in the face of that. It wasn't heartening. And I have heard all of these, I will say excuses. I'm just going to go ahead and say excuses about not having Charles Johnson, not having these guys, but we didn't have them. You know what I mean? And so what do you do? My question is this, is that, it was exacerbated a little bit because we're missing 3, right? Out of the 4. But what if you're missing 2 out of 4 in real games? How can this hold up? And I really wanted to see how that run defense could hang. And where my concern really comes into this is that we saw in the 8-game losing stretch, Joey, last season, when we had trouble against the run, right? It was in that moment that we had some injuries and things that we weren't playing well on the defensive line. And then you had Kuechly trying to step up you had the linebackers having to play more of a role in trying to make up for that. And that really exposed our second, it was just a continuing slippery slope. So I wasn't impressed.
It was a compounding situation last year. It started with one thing, and then, like you said, it rolled downhill and got worse and worse.
And what you're doing is you're wasting your resources when it comes to Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly, who are so much better served just being, I guess, almost like X factors, where the coaches don't even talk to them. It's almost like they're secretly Madden characters.
I see what you're saying. You're saying when the defensive line is doing its job, they are free to play the position freely. When the defensive line is not keeping them clean, they are more involved in the mosh pit that goes on between the offensive and defensive line, right? Because that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
And they get swallowed up, and then that's when you see linebackers having trouble getting off of blocks. You hear that term a lot and things like that. You start seeing offensive linemen sneaking into the second level, and when you get that, even when you compensate for it and say those guys do it well, when they don't do it perfectly, it really kind of results in near disaster where the plays aren't just completed plays, but they're very beneficial plays for the opposing offense.
Right. It turns what might have been a 2-yard gain into a 6-yard gain, or what
Right.
would have been a 6-yard gain turns it into a 12-yard gain. You know?
Exactly.
So yes, it definitely affects the success of the defense, and that's one of the reasons why we were run on a little bit by the Bills, I think. But again, going back to Fozzie. That really was concerning to me because I know we were, I don't want to say counting on him, but he was going to have some real value to this offense, we hoped. And I really didn't see any of that from him. I liked what I saw from Cap. I thought he did okay for his first game.
Rookie, and not like they were seriously trying to build the game plan around him. He stepped in there and did better than Fozzie did.
He did. I liked what I saw from him because you can see the potential there.
I like Todman. I thought Todman was fantastic. I thought Cameron Artis-Payne, Todman, and Oher, I want to see them on the team.
Me too. I really liked that Oher kid. I really thought he brought an element that, but honestly, the type of element Fozzie had where he could run the ball a little bit, but out of the backfield is where he's most dangerous because of his speed. That kid is fast. Did you see how?
I think Todman is too. Yeah, I mean, he took it to the house, 42 yards.
Right, like it was nothing too. He outran several guys to get there.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this, Joe. And we're going to jump into those guys a little bit more as we go on. But when when you really get past that euphoric excitement, that is, hey, it's almost football, and this is kind of football. And I just saw Just Joan tweeted at CFL, so we should call it the at KFL, the kind of football league. And when you get past that euphoric kind of moment, Joey, that one that Cubs fans have on opening day? Did you expect, when you get past that, did you expect this type of performance and the questions it raised? Were you expecting something of this nature? Were you disappointed? Were you impressed? Or were you like, this is what it's supposed to be like at this point?
I think I was a little bit of all of those things. I want to say impressed, but that's probably too strong of a word. Satisfied probably isn't a strong enough word.
Oh, so
okay. Somewhere between the two, I thought the offensive line was a pleasant surprise. I guess that's the best way of saying it.
You were impacified.
What's that?
You were impacified, where you take impressed and satisfied and you compress them.
I guess so. Or maybe I was whelmed. I was whelmed with the offensive line.
That is exactly right. You were not underwhelmed. You were not overwhelmed. You were just whelmed. I agree.
So that was a good thing. Cam, I love the third drive. He looked money on that third drive. He looked really focused, good deliveries. I think there may have been one pass where he was throwing off his back foot, but again, his arm, I think the pass to Olsen, he threw off his back foot, but that arm is so strong. Sometimes he can just get away with it. Like I said, Fozzie was a disappointment. The second
Let's
team.
talk about this. Let's talk about the offense and Cam Newton, those first three drives real quick. You see the offense didn't get in. Was it two? It was 2 3 and outs, right?
Exactly.
2 3-and-outs, and then they moved the ball down for a touchdown drive. You said that the first two, they didn't seem in sync. You said they didn't look good. Do you think, though, and then the running game wasn't going? When I look at this, Joey, I mean, I don't dispute those terms at all. I mean, I don't think that's wrong. But to me, I felt in some ways we really didn't try to run the ball. We do what Mike Shula always does on the very first play of the game. He ran it straight up the middle. And that's fine, but then it seemed like that was like the only running play. I guess when you only run 3 plays, 30% of them were 30% were running plays. But I felt like the offense at that point wasn't really interested in testing or establishing the run, but they were dead set on pushing the ball downfield and seeing what they had in the passing attack. Did you get that sense?
Yeah, I did get that feeling. They wanted to see how well they would be able to move the ball through the air. We had the deep attempt to Corey Brown. I believe that was the first play of the second drive, with that deep pass down the middle.
To who?
To Corey Brown.
Yeah, that was actually on the first drive, I think.
That was the first drive. Okay,
I think so.
Well, that's
came out, we threw it deep. It might have been. We also threw deep on one play we threw deep every time that they threw the ball. We threw it deep. We threw deep to Kelvin Benjamin on one play that was broken up, which was really pass interference.
I thought so.
And we threw, then you had the Philly Brown deep pass that was, man, to tell you the truth, I know that everybody, when they point to Cam's this and that, but that thing was about 8 inches from being a fantastic play, a fantastic throw. I mean, like, if he would have connected on that, what would we have been saying about this offense? It was right there. I don't feel like it was an errant throw. I didn't feel, so it didn't work. The other thing is you got Benjamin slipping. All of these, Joey, what we had is a defensive line that applies pressure. You need time for those long, deep field, those deep passes to develop. Right. Cam had pressure at his feet. But I felt, and their low percentage throws, every single one of those, I mean, we can look at a guy and go, he went 6 for 7. He had 36 yards and he looked good. And really all he did was throw some very high percentage throws. I don't think that that's what we did. And so I actually I know I was whelmed by all of this, but I was not underwhelmed because I thought Cam made good reads. I thought the ball was close to being where it was. His feet were a little crowded, and you saw on that third drive the pocket get a little bit better. That defensive line got a little maybe tired, kind of starting to get tired a little bit. And Cam Newton actually stepped into his throws. He, like you mentioned, he hit Ted Ginn deep. He hit Kelvin Benjamin deep. He threw a great touchdown pass. He really looked if you get that out of Cam, even taking in those first 2 series, I'm happy.
Oh, for sure. You have to love what you saw on that third drive. It was just everything you want from Cam you saw on that drive. Even the pass to Greg Olsen down for the first down inside the 20.
Yeah.
He had to get rid of that ball a little bit faster than I think he would have liked because the pocket was starting to collapse a little bit. He was starting to feel crowded. So he threw off his back foot, but he fired it right in there. And, if Greg was a little more fleet of foot, maybe he would have scored. We know he wears snowshoes, so.
Yeah, I mean, and they're stylish snowshoes, but I think this is that I really like the one thing I like from Cam is that he made the right reads. I didn't see a dangerous throw. I didn't see one that was wildly out of control. Maybe that one where Kelvin Benjamin slipped. It didn't look like that fantastic of a pass. Even like if he was standing up, it probably. But the pocket was all in his feet. I just like this. To me, I think if you put Cam Newton out there throwing the football, he's gonna hit receivers. It's not like he's so inaccurate. To me, I just want to make sure that he is making good decisions, and I'm happy with that.
Right, that's what we want. That's what I read an article today. That's what Rivera said. We want to see him making the right decisions. Maybe the throws are going to be a little bit off, but as long as the right decisions are made, we know the throws will get there.
Yeah, the odds are with you.
Right.
Joe, the title of the show is More Questions or Answers. It's a little wordplay on Michael Oher, obviously. Tell me, walking into this game, what questions were you asking before this preseason game, and were they answered?
The biggest question I had was, how would Oher play? How would he hold up at left tackle? And after watching the game, I feel he did an adequate job. I think he held his own, and it's a position we have improved at. If his play continues at that level, we will be okay.
Yeah, you're not going to go and call him dominant. You're just going to say that he played well.
Exactly.
And he also played a full quarter. So you got to see a decent sample size from him in the whole. I know that's not really a lot in the scheme of things, but in the context of what preseason actually measures, that's actually like 2 more series than you would have usually probably seen him in the preseason last year.
Right.
The other thing is, so you were asking about Michael Oher. Were there any other questions that you were trying to zero in on? I mentioned the run defense earlier was one. Is there anything else that you were trying to identify specifically in this game?
The only other thing I was really looking at specifically was how Fozzie would come in as the number 2 back.
Last week on the show, Straight Facts said, don't be surprised if Fozzie Whitaker is cut. And I looked at him and spoke to him like he was on peyote. And so in that context, I think you guys are onto something.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a case there are now more questions than answers when it comes to Fozzie Whitaker and his role on this team, especially after the play of Cap, Ware, and Todman.
That's right, Susan. Don't say Luck around me. Andrew Luck sucks, even if it's the kind that doesn't have to do with Andrew. I don't even believe in luck now. Right. Andrew Luck ruined the concept of luck to me, Susan. In fact, now life is all statistics to me. Sorry, that was a Twitter thing. Joe, also, I think this, to me, I want to say, and my take on this before we kind of move on is, for me, I didn't get a lot of answers out of this game. In fact, to go on and make it worse, there's only more questions for me. And I think that this was kind of sobering, and that we want these magic bullets to take care of things. But that's, just not going to happen. But really, I think what's most surprising to me, Joe, is that it's not that my questions didn't get answered, because I know we're not going to see like, hey, is our offensive line going to work? Is Fozzie Whitaker going to pan out in 3? But what I think was disconcerting to me was that my questions pivoted a bit from being focused on the offensive line and the tackles to now my questions have pivoted to, will Tolbert and Whitaker really even are they as much of a lock for this team as we like? I mean, that's a new question. And Straight Facts posed it early, but I'm going to go throw Mike Tolbert into that. The next question that kind of pivoted differently, I want to know if our special teams will ever be good. And the last is that I'm less certain about our wide receivers after this game than I am more certain, and not of their performance, but who the hell is on the bubble?
Right.
How many of these guys can we really keep? I didn't see any Kotri. I thought they really looked at Bird a lot in the second half. I mean, they gave him a lot of action, and it felt like that was intended to see what he could do.
I think he had 4 catches on like 5 or 6 targets, so they were looking for him, yes.
Yeah, he had a drop. He had a contested catch, too. I mean, out of those, he probably was, like you said, 6 targets, 4 catches. I think this is that, I'm just looking at, to me, it opens these questions about the wide receivers that I thought that the bubble was was smaller than it is. But, I wouldn't be surprised if the Carolina Panthers would keep an extra receiver this year now. And the last thing is this, Joey, here's the last pivot. Is that defensive line really looked inept without those studs that we have? It just didn't look good. So we were looking for Coney Ealy. We were looking for Frank Alexander, one of those guys to step up into the work, to start to pull away from the herd or the pack. And I didn't see that. And now you got this dude, Raheem Cox, who played possessed on the last series. He was like a man it was insane. And now he's with the starters. And not to mention Missy just tweeted us that Sunshine is on the team. And I think that's fool's gold. That's full sunshine. It's not even real sunshine.
I can't believe they put him back there in punt return. When I saw that, I thought, oh my God, somebody is smoking crack in the Panthers coaching staff. But he made the fair catch.
Yeah, but did he move a foot?
No.
Let's just talk about this defensive line, Coney Ealy. What is this, Raheem Cox? What is this? Rivera said today, this is according to Black and Blue, for the second straight practice, Coney Ealy was with the starters on one end, while Raheem Cox got the bulk of the snaps on the other. Also, Frank Alexander with the third team. He said this is not a message to him. Joe, what do you get out of all of this?
I get out of this if that's a message to Frank Alexander. And Ron Rivera was lying when he said that that's not a message. Are you kidding me? He expects so much from Frank Alexander, and I guess he was so disappointed with the effort he put forth in the game that he put him with the thirds. Said, how do you like this? Let me see you work hard. Now he's got to work. Now he's got to bring his lunch pail, because he's got to work from the second unit to the second unit and then back to the first. I think
he struggled with the cut blocks. Did you see that? Did you notice that he really looked uncomfortable when anybody went low on him, and they threw guys at his feet a lot? Did you notice that? And how do you, as a player, kind of get around that? I was on Straight Facts podcast last night. He said you just got to get better at mashing dudes into the dirt with your hands.
Right. That they do a drill. Actually, they do a drill where they lay dummies on the ground and they make you bend over and push off of them and try to propel yourself toward the quarterback, like you're getting them down so they're not at your knees, because if they're at your knees,
right,
it's when they're on the ground you can actually get over them. When they're at your knees, it's
like a mean version of leapfrog.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yes,
call it mash frog.
Right. And that's one of the drills they do. He's just got to get better at that.
Okay,
that's your elite defensive end. That's a move that an elite defensive end can pull off regularly.
All right, I'm going to give you a list of names, and then we're going to move on to the next segment. I want to give you this list, and I just want you to pick one name out of this list that impressed you most. Kelvin Benjamin, Jordan Todman, Darius Glanton, Josh Norman, Brandon Weyer, or Michael Oher. Benjamin, Todman, Glanton, Norman, Weyer, Oher. Who impressed you the most?
I guess Weyer. And the reason I say that is I had no idea who this kid was or where he came from or anything. All I saw was a blur on the screen. And
one that you cared about.
Right. No, he looks solid to me. I'd like to see him run with the first offensive line and see how he does. Third down back. He can be that. He can fill that role for us too. He most impressed me, and then Oher, I guess, would be next, and then I don't think I was all that impressed by Benjamin, and I don't say that negatively. Hold on, I don't say that negatively. He is.
That was my name.
He's well on his way to stardom.
Okay.
Okay, so. He had what did he have, 2 or 3 catches for like 36 yards and a touchdown, which, that's.
Yeah. And he had 2 pass interference. One was called, one wasn't.
Yeah, and really.
Another 70 yards because of that.
I think the touchdown catch he had, there was a little pass interference on that too. I think the guy got there early. But anyway, he didn't impress me, but I'm already impressed with him. I'll put it that way.
All right. That was going to be my name. I thought, wow, this guy really looks like he could be unstoppable, and the only person that could stop him would be himself. So interesting list. Like I said, there's a lot of questions that come out of this game more than answers, which is to be expected. I also want to go ahead and say this is when Abby needs to listen for a second, but we got to get a word from our sponsors really quick. I said this was nonprofit, and I meant it, and you'll see why. Hey, this is Chris Wesslinger here. And because of Might All for Men, I never let my man Johnny Cramps get me down. Just a couple of Might All for Men and a few Twitter blocks. I'm feeling on my feet. Back again. That's right. Might All for Men. Big thanks to Chris Wesslinger and Might All for Men for supporting the show. Joe, I don't know if you saw that Chris Wesslinger had a lot to say about Cam Newton's feet. He's a foot guy. He's a foot man, and he didn't like what he saw, and then he obviously doesn't like Panther fans on Twitter. I didn't know it. But you know what? He just pops a couple Might All for Men. Things are better. Joe, it's time for Finish That Thought.
Funny. Sometimes I just don't get people. Human beings are so weird. Who talks in front of a camera by themselves for fun? We thought that was a good idea. These ideas, some of these things that you use every day. Who's the guy or a girl that was like, this makes no sense. Good idea. That's a good idea.
Joe, it's always a good idea to finish my thoughts. They're always good, and yours are deep. So that is something weird. This is the time where I pose a thought to you, and you finish it. Finish that thought. Finish this thought. Cam Newton's play in the preseason opener was.
Cam Newton's play in the preseason opener was promising. His play was promising.
Very well put. All right, finish this thought. My greatest concern going forward is.
My greatest concern going forward is our depth, especially on the defensive line. Our our player depth along the defensive front.
I'm going to jump in on this one and finish my own thought. My greatest concern going forward is Star Latuli's health. And what that will only do is cause that depth to become an issue. Really concerned about this foot, Joey. Big guy's feet. Chris Wesslinger told us that he's a foot man and concerned about feet. I'm not concerned about Cam Newton's feet. I'm concerned about Star Latuli's foot. And that could be very problematic for this team.
It is probably going to be something that affects him for the rest of his career. Unfortunately, men his size that have feet issues are prone to having to deal with them throughout the course of their life. And especially when you put the sort of stress and strain that he does playing this game.
Yeah. It's one of those things, if you saw it immediately aggravated, it's not necessarily, it's almost that those catastrophic injuries, while they are so excruciating to get past, it's almost like they break you so much that they got to fix you entirely. It's these other ones that can really just be these wily serpents below the roses, like you just step on it by accident. It's kind of, so I'm concerned about that. Joey, also, I want to tell everybody to go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, not only for the latest news from a fan perspective about the Panthers, but also to purchase these awesome, wicked Cam Newton, Cam Wow towels we got, the rally towel, only $5. And I'm actually wearing this wonderful Panthers three-peat shirt that you can also get on the website.
I was on Twitter the other day, and I was looking at the Roaring Riot group in Columbia, South Carolina, and there was a guy sitting at the table of Panther fans that had gathered there waving a Cam Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw another guy wearing the shirt at a bar. Nice. In a random picture. And one of the fun things is somebody actually took their Twitter AVI and changed it to this.
Very nice. And I
randomly stumbled across, you're scrolling through and you're like, wait a minute, that's my shirt.
Right. That's nice.
You can get Mel just tweeted in. He said his fantasy team is going to be Stars Feet. Like Starfleet. I think that's what it is, like Starfleet. What was Starfleet from? Was that Star Trek?
Yeah, Star Trek. That's right.
Starfeet. You got to take it out, not Stars Feet. You got to say Starfeet. That's what I said. All right. Also, Joe, real quick before we move on, if they want to buy stuff on the internet, how should they best do it?
Well, I know this, that if you're anything like me, you hate having to leave the house to go shopping. My wife, that not so much is the case with her. I don't want to do it. Great thing Amazon is here. While checking out C3 for all the hottest Panther news from the fans' perspective, take a look at the tabs at the top of the page. Click the Shop tab and start looking for whatever it is you don't want to get off the couch for. It's easy, convenient, and you'll help your favorite Panthers podcast, the one you're currently watching right now, grow. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and when you're done, you can go right back to checking out all the hottest takes at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. So remember, if you do shop Amazon, to do it through CarolinaCatChronicles.com, your favorite Panthers website.
Well said. Joint practices, Joey, open up against the Dolphins tomorrow, and we carry those out for the rest of the week. And
we play them on Saturday.
Yeah, so we just play them for the rest of the week. Joe, they're not going to be hitting in practice, from what I hear. I heard this yesterday from a Dolphins guy from Straight Facts. Do we call this the Sioux rule?
Quite possibly.
Sue me. Don't sue me.
They're doing this so there are no fights and nobody gets suspended because the Cowboys Rams practice today. There was a huge fight and everybody is going to be suspended. So
What?
maybe everybody was involved in the fight. So there are going to be suspensions.
Who was it with? Who was it?
It
The
was
two teams.
Rams and Cowboys.
Okay, I didn't see this one. When did this happen?
I just saw it about an hour ago. I didn't even get to really read the article. I just saw it on Bleacher Report real quick on my team stream. And it said it was, in fact, it said it was a huge, enormous fight. So,
Wow. Des Bryant out there just
being Des Bryant.
Why has he got to swing like that? These big arcing swings, man. Des, you gotta go hang out with May, my boy Floyd.
Teach him how to throw a punch.
God, yeah. So
that could honestly be one of the reasons that they're not going to allow hitting, to try to keep any flare-ups from occurring where people say, think, hey, you went too hard. We're not supposed to be going that hard. This way, if we say no hitting, everybody knows.
what do you think? Why do you think? I don't remember all of these joint practices. Am I just like that far? It seems like these are really in vogue this season to have a lot of joint practices.
No, they've always done it. And for as long as I can remember, teams have brought other teams in for scrimmages.
Have the Panthers
Basically,
ever
that's
done
what
it?
they are. I'm sure. I'm sure they have.
I don't remember. Oh, Abby said it was a wild fight. It almost spilled into the crowd.
Oh, wow. I can't wait. They've got a lot of video footage on it from what I understand. I've been waiting to check it out.
This sucks because if I know we're never going to play a team that's surprising you said the Rams and the Cowboys. Those are two NFC teams. So it's surprising that they're practicing together. But I would love to be practicing against the Falcons and a fight spill over and to steal a sucker punch on Matt Bryant or the kicker and then dip out as a fan. Hey, you came on this side of the fence, boop, and then dip. Well, what do you think? Why do you think the Panthers are doing this, joint practicing with the Dolphins?
For one, it's a relief in a way for the players because you get sick and tired of going against the same guys over and over and over. It sort of gives them a chance to sort of re-up their energy, and it gives them a mental. It's like a mental massage, for lack of a better term. Just allows them to refocus, to get a new, they're going against somebody who doesn't know their moves, so they've got to be really sharp, and they don't know so much about the person in front of them, so they, it's just a refresher in a way.
Ron Rivera said this. He said, this is a great opportunity for our football teams to grow. We don't play each other during the regular season, so it'll be a good time to utilize our offense and defensive strategies and really test the other team and help the other team. My questions about this is I like your answer, Joey, better than his answer. What kind of real strategies can you test in a non-contact essential, a limited contact practice? One of the things I don't think we can learn about is the rushing attack. I feel like a rushing attack, the running game, is the kind of most, not barbaric. I'm trying to think primitive. action or outburst of humanity. You know, it is basically like what the Spartans used to do, where they would get in those dang phalanxes. You know, they would line up in these two big, it's like rugby. You know what I'm saying? It's just this kind of
a scrum, kind of like a scrum.
Yeah. And to me, that by nature, that's physical.
Very.
So I don't think we can even see what your strategy against a run game or executing a run game is when you can't tackle.
No, really, they're going to be going probably like half speed, 30% speed. So really, it's technique that you're working on. You're working on the technique, you know, this guard's pulling. You're working on making sure the guys that he's running behind are out of his way. It's all about technique in the run game. Where they really are going to be able to work on something, it's in the passing game with timing.
Right. I think so. Yeah.
They'll be able to do that. They'll get some work there. But the run game is only going to be more technique. They're going to be making sure the handoffs, you know, the read options, making sure that they know when the quarterback's going to give it and when he's going to keep it, that kind of thing.
I was going to ask you what area we'll learn most about, but I think you already kind of, you know, got after that. I want to know this is, in fact, I said this on T Money's show last night. I think there's one person we're going to learn a lot about, or there's one person I'm going to be looking at, and I think that he fits the mold for what you can actually learn in this practice most, and that's Shaq Thompson. We haven't seen Shaq Thompson yet. He missed the rookie stuff because he was still in school. He's been kind of nicked up and limited in training camp to this point because of his hamstring. He did not play in the preseason game. I thought we were all surprised about that. There was not a clear articulation that was going to be the case. You know, it just turned out. But I'm not really sure why that was. But on top of that, I think that when you're running 30% speed, Joe, when you are doing these things and you're testing the timing of another team, while we're thinking about our timing, Shaq Thompson's best asset is helping in coverage as a linebacker, and is finding his way through and making these kind of magical plays, disrupting timing, disrupting those things. So I think I'm going to be watching Shaq Thompson, and hopefully we get to see a lot of him. And he's supposedly dominated today in practice.
Well, that's great news to hear. You know, we drafted him with a real purpose. We knew what we were looking for when we took him, number one. And I think he's got the ability. It's just a matter of seeing it now. So, yes.
Do you think his position and him as a player is actually one of the things that may be measurable in this practice? You know, like you can't measure the running game. So maybe, is this the one thing, not the one thing, but is this one of the things that can be measured maybe?
Yeah, I think we'll see the one thing we'll really be able to see is his instincts when it comes to like the passing game and to deciphering the plays. That's one thing that Luke Kuechly is excellent at. He has a unique ability to decipher the play at the snap of the ball. As soon as the ball snaps and people start moving, he knows where the play is going to be. So that's why he makes so many tackles, because he's right there where the ball's supposed to be. And that's something that Shaq Thompson may have. We'll be able to see that, and we'll be able to see how he does in coverage, how good of a cover man he is, because I'm sure he'll be in particular in pass plays.
All right, Joe, we're going to have one more word from our sponsor before we go into a little backdoor friction. Hey, this is Chris Westlinger here. Because of Might Offer Men, I never let my mangina cramps get me down. Just a couple of Might Offer Men and a few Twitter blocks. I'm feeling on my feet back again. That's right. Might all for me. Thank you. Thank you for sponsoring this nonprofit show. Joe, it's time for a little fact or fiction.
Fact or fiction?
This is backdoor friction, or sometimes called fact or fiction. And this is where we pose a statement, and then Joey tells us if it's fact or fiction. We tell you if it's fact or fiction. Fact or fiction, Joe, there will be a fight either by the end of these practices or in the actual preseason game. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to say fiction. I think our team has enough veteran leadership to prevent something like that from happening. Maybe in a year ago, Josh Norman could have been taunted into something, but I think now with Peanut Tillman there, we're mature. We've got enough mature leadership to prevent that from happening.
I agree. I'm going to say fiction. I wanted to say fact, and the only way it's going to be a fact is that things finally kind of culminate in the preseason game, where maybe some dudes that were in the third or fourth quarter on the third that were getting some action and really playing their hearts out, maybe were upset about their performance in practice, and then it manifests in the game. But I'm with you. I think it's fiction. Joe, next fact or fiction, there will be a surprise veteran cut this season involving one of these players, Kotry, Whitaker, or Tolbert.
That's a straight fact. One of those three, maybe two of those three. And I would say even 3 out of those 3 is not outside of the realm of possibility.
Raise the roof. This man is out of control. He's on fire. That was a good take. Man, that was an epic fact or fiction right there. I'm on the cut Tolbert train. If anybody can just please go back and look at the very first offensive play of the game against Buffalo and tell me, what is Mike Tolbert doing? Because we run the ball. He's a fullback out there, and he doesn't touch a single person. Not a single person. I don't care if it's like miss assignments and all that, Joey. If I'm a fullback and I missed an assignment or someone else missed the assignment, I would still go and jump on the pile at the end. Just like you didn't touch anybody. You came out of the football game with a clean jersey. And I don't like that. So I'm with you there. I'm on the cut Tolbert train. Joe, fact or fiction, your optimism fire was smothered by the game against Buffalo.
That's fiction. I never really had, I guess, fiery optimism. I was just somewhat optimistic, and I came out I'm definitely not disappointed, but again, the best word I could think of is whelmed. I was whelmed at the outcome of the game. Not over nor under, simply whelmed.
Just simply whelmed. All right, I'm going to say straight fiction on this. My optimism fire was not smothered one bit. Is that, yeah, I've got some additional concerns that I maybe wasn't banking on. But the very fact that Mike Shula's offense was so predicated on a downfield game, even after Cam Newton was gone. When Derek Anderson came out there, when Joe Webb came out there, we were tossing the ball downfield to Funches. Go the very first play of the second half, we come out and throw a 40-yard bomb to Devin Funches. Then 2 plays later, we throw another 40-yard bomb that's broken up, tough catch, drop pass, all of those in one to Devin Funches. I thought this was I thought this was a very aggressive not aggressive play calling, as in like it was like we're gonna just annihilate you through the air. But what I thought it was an aggressive stress test on our passing game. And I think what that might indicate is Mike Shula is ready to say this. We've got some big ass mofos
at receiver.
Yeah. And just, you know what? One-on-one coverage, just do it. Just go downfield. And that, to me, that fans my fire.
And what is that going to do? That is going to make the defense drop their safeties.
Yep.
And when they're dropping their safeties, we can turn around and start sneaking in the runs. Because
it might even make Tolbert look like a fullback.
It might even maybe so. But yeah, we're going back to the 49ers philosophy of use the pass to set up the run. And it's something that may work for us. We've got the guys on the outside to do it.
Yeah, I'm excited. So to me, I was really excited about that. And you can call me crazy, but I'm also excited about these guys. In fact, I'm on the Joey Factor Fiction Cotry, not Joe. Factor Fiction, not 1, not 2, not 3. That's what we're going to do with the Cotry Whitaker Tolbert when you do that. You should have pulled the old LeBron James type thing. Not 1, not 2, but 3. It's the 3-peat. I'm with all of this. I'm happy if all of that happens. Fozzie Whitaker does not return punts. He doesn't. He returns kickoffs. Jordan Todman, 3rd in the league last year in kickoff returns, 25-yard average, right? On top of that, you've got Lee Ward, who pancakes dudes, and the Brandon Weyer guy. I feel like, hey, Cameron Artis-Payne, why not? Roll the dice here, folks. Don't play it conservative. I want to play for the win, not for – and maybe we'll see that. Maybe we'll see a measurement of is Riverboat Ron here or is conservative Ron here with these decisions.
Mm-hmm.
We're at the end of the show, Joe.
Did you see your boy, the guy from UAB? What's his name?
From last year. Come on. Oh, now it's gonna. His name is Darren Reeves.
Yeah, Reeves got signed by the Chiefs and actually scored a touchdown in their preseason game the other day.
Good for him.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Darren Reeves. Good for him. I hope he works out for them. I hope that he proves the Panthers wrong. And, I think it was the right move for the Panthers, but I would love to see a player move on that I liked and do well. Joe, sometimes you go to sporting events. Sometimes you go to concerts. How do you do this? What's the best way to save the most money and get the best experience?
The best way to do this is to visit CarolinaCatChronicles.com and look for the monster. But he is the ticket monster, and Ticket Monster will get you your tickets with no additional fees and no shipping costs. And if you go through our site, they're not going to charge you anything extra, but they'll give us a little kickback to help this nonprofit try to become a for-profit. So,
on top of that, but yeah, on that, we're in a transition. We're in a transition period.
So for all your ticket needs, whether it's a sporting event, concert, ballet, whatever the case may be, go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and look for the ticket monster crawling around on the screen. You will see him.
Yeah, I want to put another thanks out to Might Man. It seems like that. On top of that, it's a hit seller on Twitter right now, and it looks like we might have stumbled across on a gem. So Might, you can contact us on that. We're patting that with you. And Mel said Mel's tuning in from the country western bar with his whiskey sour in hand, and he said, "How about Michael Oher?" ? Hashtag what would Clyde say? We did not have that segment tonight, but Mel says we're having it anyway. Joe, that is we're about done. Let's we're over time by a couple minutes. It's time to get to the real deal segment, the Ice Up Son picks of the week, where we tell someone in the world, in the universe, anybody is game to ice up, to toughen up, to get their act together. Joe, I'm going to go first tonight because I think you're ready. I think you're going to bring it and bring the heat and the fire. And I'm just going to go lame tonight. I'm going to go lame and say my ice up pick of the week goes to Mike Tolbert. Don't call me fullback. I just believe this is that when you call Mike Tolbert a fullback, you are just simply calling him fat. A fat running back, because he doesn't block. He is not the best blocker. He doesn't open up holes, and he's not even good in short yard situations. He is a check down bowling ball guy. And so, Mike Tolbert, you're a running back. And when you classify yourself as a running back, when you show through, your value is not what it once was. I'm sorry, this is mean, but Mike Tolbert, don't call me fullback. Ice up, son.
Wow, I'm surprised you went so harsh on a member of the Panthers team, but no one is safe from the ice up pick.
No one.
I'm definitely. I was reading about this today, and it just surprised me. In shocking news, bulls kill 7 people. The summer is the time for the annual running of the bulls in Spain. This year, I guess the bulls have had enough, and they decided to get some of the runners. 7 runners have been were gored to death.
Yes.
All I can say is, ice up, runners. Because y'all stupid for running with bulls. What did you think would happen? You think the bulls would be concerned for your safety? No. They just want to run from you. A bull is a huge animal, and for their size, they are quite nimble and possess good speed. Honestly, I think 7 people is a low number. The bulls must have gone easy on you this year. So, to the 7 of you who are dead from being gored by a bull, I say, ice up, son. And to the rest of you, watch out, because next year the bulls might not go so easy on you, you bunch of DAs.
Oh my God. Way to bring it, Joe. I didn't even know what you were going to do. You totally lived up to it. I agree entirely. I so agree with this, is that, you don't like to trample a bug's grave, but you ran with some bulls.
What did you think was going to happen?
Have you seen this, Joey? Have you seen this show that's and it's like a Michael Crichton show? It's somebody big wrote it or something. It's called Zoo.
Yes, it's a book that they made into a TV series by James
Patterson?
James Patterson. Yeah, James Patterson. He wrote it, but him and another guy came together to do the series. I've been watching it. Actually, I like it.
I watched it too, and it's like the animals have decided. It's also kind of reminiscent of that Mark Wahlberg movie, The Happening. I think, where it's like Mother Nature just finally said, "Screw you, idiots."
Right.
So maybe the zoo is true, because there's a zoo in Spain, and Joe has special ability to make that ice up claim, since he's got that Spanish descent in him.
Absolutely.
Well, that was fantastic tonight, Joe.
I'm glad you enjoyed that one.
Joe, tell them who you are, where they can get after that Spanish master right there, that beautiful Spaniard, and where they can find our work.
I am the freaking Puerto Rican, a.k.a. Big Tasty, a.k.a. Joe Riolano. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Riolano, and you can find our work at CarolinaCatChronicles.com, the #1 site for Carolina Panther fans. Football without fans is nothing more than a kid's game.
This is the C3 podcast. You can check us out every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Make sure you hit us up when you're in the gym and in the car, whatever it is. Hit us up on Stitcher, iTunes. Give us a subscribe. Give us a share. Share us with the friends. Like, let's have a menage a trois of podcasts together. And Joe is always real, and that's no bull.
Amen to that.